I'm DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema classics.
Then all of a sudden we get Joker.
Yeah.
Folie, now you know this better than I since you just returned from Paris. Folie à deux.
Folie à deux.
Right.
The folly of two people.
Right, which I hear used to be a syndrome of some kind of mental.
A shared psychosis.
Oh, I knew it. Okay, I got a professional here. Yeah. So does it fulfill that?
I think it does. It definitely tackles some tough topics of mental illness and introducing a new character, Harley Quinn.
Oh yes,
Played
yeah.
by Lady Gaga.
Boy, she could.
She is. I'll admit I was a little bit concerned about her ability to hold the role. We know she can sing. She's been singing for years.
Yes, right.
But I thought she held very well with her acting ability
Yeah,
and
yeah.
musical numbers too.
Yeah. In fact, I even thought she was underrepresented.
I agree. A little underused.
You're right. But Joaquin Phoenix is it,
I
right?
love it. Love Joaquin.
If you thought he won the Oscar for the first Joker,
Yes. He won everything.
he should be nominated for this one. Would you agree?
I agree. I think no one does self-loathing better than Joaquin Phoenix. Ever since Gladiator, Communist.
gosh, yes.
I think that was one of his first
That's
major
right.
roles.
That's right.
Just all of his characters, Johnny Cash, Walk the Line. He just does such a great job.
Yeah. So let's do that in the podcast. Let's look at his oeuvre and see what it tells us about him. Because I think if you ask people who's the best actor around, they're not necessarily going to pick him. Now, I thought the only other actor I would have recruited to play the Joker, see if you agree, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, whatever Daniel Day-Lewis
I
does,
know.
he'll do a great job.
But I mean, you
He's
look at
retired now, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard he may be
Yes.
coming back.
Really?
Well, he can't. He's so talented. He
Well,
just
John's
can't.
got an inside line I don't have, so.
No, but he can't. He can't restrain himself.
Well, talk about gritty New York classics, Gangs of New York. I mean, he did a
Oh, yes.
fantastic job in that one. That's way back.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Joker. Several locations for this. I'm thinking of the prison.
Yep. And not as many locales as you would expect
No.
in the budget of this movie, but maybe we can talk about that later.
No, but I'm thinking of other prison movies. For instance,
Mhm.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes, absolutely. And that one, you like this movie more than I do, spoiler alert, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, maybe a little bit more of a full-bodied and interesting exploration
Yes.
of mental illness.
Well, once they put the musical element in this,
Uh-huh.
I think it throws you off.
It does.
It does.
It does. Maybe they're trying to induce some mental illness in you as the viewer.
It's right. It doesn't bother me, but boy, it bothers a lot of people that
It does.
they didn't expect it.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't know. I went in, I tried to go in as blind as possible.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were musical elements.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have thought about it except for seeing the trailers.
Right.
And
Right.
I think, and Todd Phillips, the director, the only thing he's done of note is Hangover.
Well, yeah. And most of his filmography is comedies. 3 Hangovers, and then a couple of other comedies as well. So really interesting choice for him.
Yeah. So we have the prison, and that's where he meets Harley Quinn. And that unlikely romance.
Right. And I love how they try to add in realistic, quote-unquote, elements into these comic book characters. Because this is a goofy comic book hero from 1940, the Joker.
Yeah.
But trying to modernize it, I think it was inspired by some of the fan base of popular serial killers, Ted Bundy.
Correct.
Right? People writing to him in prison, wanting to marry him.
Yes.
I think they tried to incorporate that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, now you're a physician, but this isn't necessarily your specialty. Dermatology is your specialty, but you might have some feel as to what does the movie reflect to us about that dual crap,
Right.
The two split personality.
Right.
What do we get from it?
As any professional, any field, you try not to take it too seriously.
Right.
I think a major element of the film is the courtroom case where they're trying to introduce this dissociative identity disorder or split personality
Yes,
disorder.
yeah.
Which I didn't really think was part of the Joker's persona to begin with.
Huh.
But it's just kind of fraught with problems because number one, no one knows if it's really a real thing or not.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the movie Sybil from way
Sure
back in
do,
the day.
multiple personalities,
Yes,
yes.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Based on a true story, but upon further investigation, perhaps not a real thing. And then just the treatment of a mentally ill criminal is different than a normal criminal.
Huh.
You know, the death sentence probably wouldn't be introduced. There's a lot of kind of
Yeah,
issues
right.
there. So, and that brings me to the main criticism or perhaps paradox with these movies. How seriously do you take it? It's a comic book. Is it just silly and fun, or are we supposed to be taking this realistic?
Well, Arthur, whatever his last name, Fleck,
Mhm.
he is a stand-up comedian, right?
He is.
So how are you going to take seriously this little act that he has? And
No.
and Phoenix is so good at it.
He's fantastic. He's phenomenal. Part of me feels like the whole movie was created just for the courtroom scene where he's got the face paint on, which is a pretty striking image, and I did enjoy that scene. But Joker is not about being on trial. He's about being out in Gotham City and creating mayhem. That's the exciting part, and we didn't get to see much of that.
Do you think there's any relevance, contemporary relevance to this?
Yeah, well, watching it, it's perhaps a reminder of how far we've come in terms of, helping the people with mental illness.
Yes.
The things that were introduced in this fictional trial, we've come a long way.
Yeah, I do like Catherine Keener's part as his attorney.
Yes.
And she wants to play the demented,
Right.
and yet he's not helping.
That was interesting, but seeing how a lot of this, unfortunately, was true until recently, the treatment of people with mental disorders, beating them in prison and everything. This stuff was rampant until fairly recently.
Yeah, it's interesting because my favorite movie of the year has been Sing Sing.
Mhm.
And after I get caught up in this, and after that I get out of it and I see, this is now my favorite. I'm not sure it is my absolute favorite of the year, but I wasn't coming out of it, I was caught up, and mainly I'm just a guy who appreciates super acting.
Right.
This was speechless at his
It's phenomenal.
performance.
Well, that's the problem with bringing comic IP to life, is you have to stay true. And adding musical elements maybe is not what everyone's looking for, and that would explain some of the critical reception.
Now I was reminded of La La Land.
Yes, right.
And how much I really liked that. I
Yes.
like when they go off, fantastically go off into sing and dance.
I did. Now the difference for me is La La Land are original songs, and Lady Gaga's allowed to really sing, whereas this movie she has to stay in character
Yeah.
with some muted performance.
Yeah, and I notice them doing more and more of these covers,
Yeah.
which are kind of ingenious when you think about their choices.
Right.
And what did I see? Yeah, what was the Smile song that he sings as he's
Oh,
going to
Miss
trial?
Smiley.
Yeah,
That was a
you
great
know.
one. That was a great one.
So I don't object, but I think there are purists who
Right.
say, "What is going on here?"
John, the $1,000,000 question, are there too many songs in this movie?
They're not for me.
Okay.
But I do understand how somebody could say, "Would you please get me back to my character?
Right.
Enough of this."
Perhaps my favorite moment of the film, I hope it's not too much of a spoiler, is when Joaquin Phoenix tells Lady Gaga, please stop singing, don't sing anymore.
Oh yeah. I watch the camera and the close-ups of Phoenix, and I'm reminded how there are only a few, and we mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis, actress, whose very eyebrow moves
Oh, yeah.
with precision
Right.
for the character they have. Where do these guys get this?
True method acting.
Wow.
Christian Bale is another. He
Exactly.
He really will drop all that weight
Yeah.
just to be in the character. I don't think that was CGI. I think that was really his skeletal body that you see walking through the halls.
And I think about that sometimes, where I think Tom Hardy's gone off the track, where he had the promise of being this kind of an actor,
Right.
but he's doing Venmo now.
Yeah, Venom or
Whatever it is, right? That's where I am at Venmo. Yes,
Venom.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be the actor's career version of Venmo, is playing Venom.
There's the reason, isn't it?
There's another one coming out, so
Yeah, oh, I
We can watch that
know,
one
I know. I've seen the trailers and boy, they're not
Yeah.
interested.
The Venom at the Casino, it'll be great, John.
Oh, God, I can't think of it. But anyway, there are only a few actors whom we can really cite to
Right.
say who lose themselves in their roles.
Absolutely.
And this one, I mean, even he does the Bale thing. He has skin and bones.
Skin and Bones. For another movie, too. Can you imagine? He's like this for years now.
Yes, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, all right, so we are looking ahead, and we still have some time to do this before we get to our podcast, because people are going to have to go to WCBE.org, the podcast experience, in order to hear more of our blather about this. And we've got a few more minutes to talk about this. Why do you think it isn't hitting it off well with the general public? I would have thought, the DC comic related, but a different take, that your fellow Americans would enjoy it.
I think I respect the artistic attempt at it, but I'm not sure if there are any other superhero intellectual property musicals. I'd have to look that up. But this is the first one, the first of its kind. And the way that the movie tidal wave is going, so many Marvel movies, MCU, DC movies, it's kind of the same thing. There's nothing artistic like this.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to think
Yep.
if there ever was one.
In a way, I would say the first Joker was probably one of the most artistic film noir, perhaps, takes on a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Just that kind of grittiness.
Did you see Brendan Gleeson?
I did.
It took me a little while to figure out who it was. But I said, I know this actor.
Yes,
So he plays one of the guards.
he does.
And
He does a great job.
I think he does.
He does.
What is it about his portrayal?
He's just got the, some people just embody their role. He's one of those people.
Wow, he's a big guy, so he looks like a rough and ready guard.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this peculiar attitude toward it. I couldn't nail him down as to exactly what he was playing.
Right,
Because I expected him to end up to being loving Joker.
right. But no one did.
No, he doesn't. And then I love it when Joker comes back, because there's an awful lot of commentary on the perception of the public
Mm-hmm.
and figures whom they deify.
Right,
Even guys who have murdered 5 people, and 6 as he discloses.
right. It's interesting who the public chooses to worship and who
Wow.
they choose to throw down.
Well, and I think the contemporary illusion for me would be Donald Trump.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not making we never make a political statement here on this show, but it seems obvious to me it's not Joe Biden, right?
Definitely not.
But Donald Trump, and I think even his supporters would admit that he's mercurial, for goodness sakes.
Mhm.
And we know that he's had several felonies,
Right,
so we know he's a crook,
right.
and yet I'm predicting he's gonna take the election.
Okay.
I'm predicting that because I know nothing other than that you've got to win the Electoral College.
Yes, you do, for sure.
I-
I think it's a coin toss at this point.
Yeah, and I do too.
Right.
And, but I'm thinking, yes, she's gonna even do better than Hillary Clinton in the popular vote.
I think so too.
But James Madison, at the end of his life,
Mm-hmm.
and he's called the father of the Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
says he made one mistake.
What's that?
He was the author of the Electoral College.
Okay.
And he knew even then, 300 years ago, it was a mistake. And, I'm a one person, one vote guy, so.
If there's anything to take from the Joker, it's that James Madison made a mistake. And he created the electoral.
Yeah, but it is interesting, isn't it, for people
It is.
that we glorify.
It is, and you see, I like that. I was hoping the movie would pursue that further when the crowd, the angry mob, breaks him out of prison. The
Yes.
mob justice, and then I won't ruin the movie.
No,
but
I
Joker
know.
doesn't get to do much gallivanting after that.
I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with